Imagine walking through a busy city street or a peaceful park, and you notice people sleeping on benches or cardboard boxes lining the sidewalk. It's a scene that many of us are accustomed to, but how often do we stop and think about how the people behind these conditions? Homelessness is a complex issue that needs comprehensive solutions from our society. Today I want to ask, what are we going to do about the homeless community in the United States? Everywhere we go, we see signs of homelessness. We either are walking through a city, driving down the road, or simply living our day-to-day lives. Homelessness community is everywhere. It's a growing problem, and homelessness has increased about 6% every year since 2017. This is just a passing issue. It's a crisis that needs our attention. In today's speech, I'll define what it means to be homeless, explore the different categories of homelessness, and discuss the factors that contribute to homelessness, such as addiction, mental illness, poverty, and despair. I'll also share a personal story that highlights the human side of this problem. So what is homelessness? Being homeless means that lacking a permanent, stable living arrangement, but homelessness isn't just one thing. It comes from many forms, which we can categorize into four main types. So you have chronic homelessness. This refers to an individual who experiences long-term homelessness and may deal with disabilities such as mental illness, substance abuse, or physical disabilities. Then you got episodic homelessness. This type is more common among younger people who experience homelessness on and off, often linked with struggles to drug addiction. Then you got transitional homeless, and this is the most common form of homelessness, where people become homeless due to the life-changing circumstances like losing a job or experiencing a family crisis. And then you got hidden homelessness. These are individuals who are homeless but don't necessarily live on the streets. They might be on a couch, surfing from temporary living with their family or friends. So we need to understand these categories is a key part to approaching the issue, as each of the groups have different needs that requires distinct solutions. Now let's examine some of the leading causes of homelessness. So first, we got addiction. Addiction is a major factor in homelessness. According to Avenue Recovery, 68% of cities in the U.S. say that drug addiction is the primary cause of homelessness. Many homeless individuals move to cities because of the resource availability, like food and bank shelters. However, they are also exposed to high levels of drug use that can trap them into the cycle of addiction and homelessness. Then you got mental illness. Mental illness can also prevent individuals from keeping stable jobs, which increases the risk of the homelessness. Studies show that 30 to 40% of homeless individuals suffer from some form of mental illness. When people can't get the help that they need, their mental health struggles can lead them to lose their housing and livelihood. And you got poverty. Poverty is another significant driver of homelessness. As economic instability increases, so does the risk of individuals becoming homeless. A lack of financial resources means that they can't afford housing, and without stable income, the cycle of poverty and homelessness deepens. Then you got despair. Despair is the emotional toll that homelessness takes on individuals. The compounded struggles of addiction, mental illness, and poverty can lead to people to believe that there is no way out. This sense of homelessness can prevent them from seeking help or finding a way to rebuild their lives. So I have a personal story I'd like to share. There was this man named Harold who was homeless who ended up living with my family in Charlotte and Monroe. And Harold grew up in Monroe in the 1940s, coming from a rough family in a poor community with limited access to education. He struggled to find steady work, and then he eventually moved to Philadelphia, seeking better opportunities, but soon realized that in high-crime areas, the only way to make money was through illegal activities. Though Harold wasn't a drug abuser, he felt he had no choice but to deal drugs. Unfortunately, this lifestyle led him to jail multiple times without any rehabilitation. Once he was released, he went back to his old ways, which eventually led him to becoming homeless. So, and the study shows that 90% of homeless adults have experienced childhood trauma, and the lack of education exposure to crime often leads to people like Harold down a similar path. In fact, young adults who don't finish high school or get their GED are 4.5 times more likely to experience homelessness than those who are in a stable housing. So this leads me to my conclusion. There are many factors that can lead to someone to become homeless, and I believe that the solutions are not outreach. Homelessness is a complex issue that needs comprehensive solutions from society. We need to address the root causes, whether it's addiction, mental illness, poverty, or despair. We need to support people who are at risk of homelessness before they fall through the cracks. And we need to come together as a society, provide long-term solutions that can help people rebuild their lives. In my speech, I'll discuss those solutions might be, and we'll all look to contribute to solving the homeless crisis. Thank you.